Are you looking at getting into producing as far as, having bands actually come to you and work with you as a producer?
I'd love the freedom to work with a band, and even if they gave me, sort of a remix kit, and I treat it as a remix. But yeah, I kind of feel like if they want to just let me do my thing, they're either going to love it or hate it probably, but I'm going to love it,
right?
Because it's my thing. So, to me, I would love to do that. I would also like to write in the initial songwriting process, find a band to write with, or say a singer.
Right.
Oh, that's always interesting to me too. But the thing is, I need a lot of freedom, so it'd have to be the right person,
right,
to make it work.
Tell me how things have changed in Minneapolis, the scene from, when you started out playing to how things are now. How hard is it for underground bands to get shows and to get people out at the shows?
Well, I think there's as you probably know, there's a lot of clubs here, a lot of smaller venues too that will book, younger acts or less known acts. Sometimes the problem is issues with the sound. Maybe only one DI box works and the subs don't work or something like that. That's until you get up to the First Avenue level or some medium-sized clubs, there's always going to be those kind of issues, it seems like, for an opening band, or a younger band, But I definitely think there's still a lot of people in bands, so there's definitely a base that's interested in music, and there's still that kind of core of support, where friends are playing with their friends' bands, and there's certain bands that play with other bands, and definitely still a scene going on here.
Cool. Now, Minneapolis has always been kind of a great place for cutting-edge music. Minneapolis has always been, from... You had Bob Mould, and you had Prince, and you have so much great stuff coming out of Minneapolis. What do you think about what's coming out of there now that you think that is inspiring to you, that's coming from Minneapolis?
Wow. I don't know. I kind of feel like Minneapolis kind of isn't the happening place now. I don't even know where it is. A lot of the new sound I hear is reformulated Yazoo, if you're familiar with that band, or Yaz.
Yes, I do.
Clark and Allison Moyer.
Yep, I do.
That's like the hottest stuff now, I suppose, is stuff that sounds like that. And, I know the 80s always comes around and everything cycles around, but it seems like even more so, on the charts, that's the music that's popular now.
Right.
So,
do you think that's a victim of our age, though, of living through it and then seeing it come around again?
I thought I already saw it come around again before, so I don't even know if this is the first time the 80s wave has hit, but yeah, it's definitely a sign of the age, and like I say, I guess I'm not in tune with what's going on around here. The bands that are written about and seem to be featured locally really aren't anything that I have an interest in musically. It's say, Sonic Youth sounding stuff. Maybe it's reformulated from the 90s, or, I guess I'm not the one to ask about the local scene. I kind of keep to myself, too, and I definitely use that 80s vibe.
Right, yeah. That's one of the things that I've always thought was fun about your music, is that you always have a nod to the past by keeping your eye to the future. The album Future Past that really summed it up for me. That kind of really sums up your sound.
Yeah, and, that's the only album that isn't offered for download. Pretty much the entire back catalog is out there if people want to listen to the older stuff, but that one had a lot of samples on it, and it came to the point of either removing the samples that were used, a lot of stuff from movies, and,
right.
It would have been noticeable. It wasn't anything I could hide, and I didn't feel like releasing it, with uncleared samples, so
right.
I kind of kept that to myself, and there's a few things I really like on it, and a few that are sort of not so hot, but that was my first attempt at what I didn't know would become Mach FoX,
Right.
That first incarnation of it was actually called Satan's Starship, and I thought it was going to sound like Nine Inch Nails. And you've heard the album. It's not even close to anything like that. It's like trying to make electronic music.
Right.
But I did realize somewhere in that process too there wasn't guitars. That's when I thought it was closer to the old Nine Inch Nails sound.
Right.
As soon as I realized, hey, I've been a guitar player in all these bands. That was my main instrument.
Right.
And as soon as that dawned on me, I said, yeah, I just got to put the guitar back in here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been my thing, is I just always push to have the guitar or the rock element strong in it, because I feel like that's where I came from.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always been the love of Gary Newman, and plenty of electronic music has guitars, but
yeah,
I kind of feel that keeps me out of the category of solely an electronic artist.
Right. Well, and it also brings a rockness to it. I mean, your stuff rocks. I mean, it does.
Well, Wax Trax is, and thank you for saying that, but I know we've talked about this before. Wax Trax is a huge influence, and just the aggression of, that music that they came out of.
Yeah.
That label. That's just a huge influence on me too.
Yeah. We've spoken many times. I actually still have my Future Past T-shirt still.
Well, I've got more from the tour still in a bin. That was one nice thing about my job. I was printing T-shirts through most of my days of being in bands and touring, so it was nice to have a lot of stock on hand. And unfortunately now, I'll offer it through the website, I think, for a few people who want to order a custom graphic T-shirt, but there's not a lot of demand for them right now.
So what are the future plans for you as far as musically, as far as the new album and stuff like that? What are you looking at? What's your future looking like?
Well, this New Dead Pretty, I teamed up with the two, AF Music and Zorch Factory Records,
mm-hmm.
and those are a couple independent labels that really focus on the kind of sounds that I like and the bands I want to hear doing the kind of music that I like. And I've been in contact with them for a while, and we talked back and forth, and I finally felt like this was the album to go with these guys and, push on them, because it fit so well.
Right.
Everything made sense to me, and I really liked these two record labels. So I guess this is more of a maxi single. It's got the original version and some remixes.
Right.
And one of my friends, TQ4, he goes by on the recordings. We've been in several bands, Silver Fox, and he's collaborated on a lot of stuff
mm-hmm.
with me. We've started something new that's pretty loose, but it's just based on the idea of doing 20 songs. When we get a mass of songs together, we can listen back and pick the best and see if we've got an album. And then we'll deal with the band name,
cool.
playing live, whatever happens from there. And as far as Mach FoX goes, I think I'm still working on the next album. Maybe about 4 songs done at this point.
Yeah.
And New Dead Pretty is one of them, but there's a couple new songs that I just recently finished, and looking at about a 10-song release for the next Mach FoX album.
Cool. Now, how do you get hooked up with labels? I mean, that's always a big question that I have on my mind, being a musician myself and always wanting to get my stuff out there. How do you contact labels? How do you have luck getting people to pick up your stuff?
Well, first of all, I find search engines on the internet extremely useful for plugging in a couple words, and then you either go with a list of contacts. Thierry from 724, he's helped me out a lot with promotion and blog addresses and everything.
Right.
Somehow he gets these great lists and helps me out with that. But a lot of it too is just how many hours do you want to spend contacting. A lot of the stuff I look at isn't at all, it may be a great label or a great website, but it's not really focused on what I'm trying to do. And I think that's the thing too with the resource of the internet, is you really got to focus in on who's going to look at your stuff and where they are.
Right.
So, like I say, these labels, AF Music, they also have a show, Darker Radio, and there's a Unsight Artist show. So I think that was originally why I contacted them, because I realized they had a internet radio show. But really you just gotta scour the internet and, you know, kind of pay attention to the links other people are posting, and, you know, even on blogs, I've seen people, they'll post something about, oh, what are your favorite podcasts? Well, if it's on Dark Twin Cities blogs, whoever posts their favorite podcast, they generally might be something I'm interested too.
Right. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I forgot about darktwincities.com. That's a great. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, it's still there, chugging along.
Cool. I'll have to check that out. I haven't been to that site in so long, so I'll have to check that out again.
Well, I think that's where we've lost touch over the years, but I think we got in touch again through there when I saw you post there one day.
Yeah, and then
Pretty cool.
Yeah, because we met originally on MySpace because we were both. I saw that you were in Man Planet, and I was like, oh, somebody I know, and then we started talking about music and our Al Jorgensen love, and
Yep.
And that's where it went.